Eggchan is known for being Wembu's little sidekick, but what if I told you that Eggchan has been hiding a secret that includes one of the server's most elite players, and he's been hiding his true power this entire time? This is what Eggchan is really hiding. Let me start with the strongest evidence first because this completely changes everything you thought you knew about Eggchan. Eggchan killed a diamond tier mafia player and took their items. The proof is undeniable, he was wearing the player's diamond trimmed armor afterward, which is the signature armor of diamond tier mafia members. Now here's why that's absolutely insane and why nobody talks about it. Diamond tier players in the mafia were the elites of the elite. There were only 5 to 10 diamond players on the entire server at any given time. To become diamond tier, you had to defeat another diamond tier player in actual combat, which means every single diamond player had proven themselves as one of the strongest fighters on the server. And Eggchan killed one of them. Keep that fact in mind because it reveals something terrifying about who Eggchan really is. But it gets even worse. Every diamond tier player except flamefrags has a mace, which means Eggchan didn't just kill an elite player, he killed the mace holder. Maces are the rarest and most powerful weapons on Unstable SMP. There are only a handful left on the entire server and Eggchan took one from a diamond tier mafia member by killing them. Think about what that means for a second. This is the same Eggchan who everyone treats like a joke, who gets captured by pirates, who acts unserious and unskilled constantly, but he somehow managed to kill one of the most dangerous players on the server and take their mace. How does that make any sense unless Eggchan is hiding his true combat ability? Here's where things start to get disturbing. Eggchan is usually depicted as the brains between himself and Wemmbu. He's intelligent and generally distrusting. He picks up on other players' odd or sneaky behavior very quickly, but he acts completely unserious and unskilled in public, playing the role of the silly sidekick who needs protection. That's a classic strategy. You make your enemies underestimate you by pretending to be weaker than you actually are. And if Eggchan can kill a diamond tier player, that means he's been pretending this entire time. Remember this pattern of Eggchan hiding his intelligence and skill because it connects to everything else he's hiding. Now let's talk about Eggchan's personality transformation because this is where the theory gets genuinely disturbing. When Eggchan first appeared on the server, he hated violence and made a point to try peace first in every situation. He was the voice of reason, the one who would talk things out, the one who preferred diplomacy over combat. But something changed. Now Eggchan tends towards violence, now believing that sometimes death is the only answer. People don't just change their fundamental values like that unless something traumatic happens to them. Keep this personality shift in mind because we need to figure out what caused it. The answer might be Proton Prison. Eggchan was trapped in solitary confinement in Proton, which is a prison designed by Canadians to be psychologically torturous. Solitary confinement breaks people mentally. It isolates them completely. It makes them question reality. It changes who they are at a fundamental level. When Eggchan went into Proton, he hated violence and tried peace first. When Eggchan came out of Proton, he believed sometimes death is the only answer. What happened to him in that solitary confinement cell that transformed him from a peaceful player into someone who embraces violence as a solution? And here's the question that should terrify you. Did Eggchan kill that diamond tier player before or after his time in solitary confinement? But before we continue, I want to ask you to subscribe. These theory videos take hours to piece together, from researching to editing, and subscribing would generally help a ton. Also, let me know in the comments what you think Eggchan is really hiding. Let's talk about Eggchan's eye, because this is where things get even more suspicious. Eggchan claims his eye sees all. He uses it as intimidation. He acts like it gives him some kind of supernatural awareness of what's happening around him. But here's the reality. Eggchan has a lower render distance than most players on the server. His eye doesn't see all, it sees less than everyone else. Which begs the question, what does his signature line actually refer to? Here's what makes this even more interesting. Eggchan is generally distrusting and picks up on other players' odd or sneaky behavior very quickly. That's his real power. He's not seeing things physically, he's reading people psychologically. He can tell when someone's lying, when someone's planning something, when someone's behavior doesn't match their words. That's an intelligence skill, not a vision skill, which goes to show how smart Eggchan secretly is. Let's look at Eggchan's infiltration skills because this proves he's far more capable than he pretends to be. Eggchan successfully disguised himself as a law member and nobody detected him. He infiltrated their ranks perfectly. He also joined the mafia and broke their invisibility rules by exposing himself, which should have gotten him killed immediately, but somehow he survived that too? These aren't the actions of an unskilled player who needs protection. These are the actions of someone who knows exactly how to blend in, how to deceive people, how to infiltrate organizations without getting caught. Remember how I said Eggchan picks up on other players' sneaky behavior very quickly? That's because he's an expert at sneaky behavior himself. It takes one to know one. Now here's where we need to address something that most people overlook about Eggchan's position on the server. Eggchan always allies himself with Wemmbu and is one of the few people Wemmbu actually trusts completely. That means Eggchan has access to all of Wembu's plans, all of his bases, all of his gear, all of his secrets. Wemmbu is one of the 4 main protagonists, one of the most powerful players on the server, and Eggchan is positioned right next to him at all times. If you wanted to spy on Wemmbu or manipulate him or control his actions, the best possible position would be exactly where Eggchan is right now. Keep this perfect spy position in mind because it raises a disturbing question about Eggchan's true loyalty. Let's talk about the times Eggchan gets captured because the pattern is suspicious. Eggchan is more than willing to risk himself to save others that he trusts. He constantly puts himself in danger for Wemmbu. He gets trapped in the end dimension. He gets captured by parrots. He ends up in solitary confinement in Proton. Every single time, Wemmbu has to rescue him or help him escape. But here's the question, what if Eggchan gets captured on purpose to manipulate Wemmbu? What if these aren't failures but calculated moves to keep Wemmbu emotionally invested and protective? Remember that Eggchan killed a diamond tier player. He clearly can handle himself in combat when he wants to. So why does he keep ending up in situations where Wemmbu has to save him unless those situations serve a purpose? Here's another piece of evidence that suggests Eggchan is playing a deeper game. Eggchan attempted to make himself leader of the remnants of the pirates after they were defeated, not content being second to Wemmbu anymore, trying to establish his own power base, positioning himself for leadership. Eggchan saw the pirates were leaderless and immediately tried to take control, showing ambition and strategic thinking that contradicts his public persona completely. Now let's piece together the timeline and see what story emerges. Eggchan joins the server and befriends Wemmbu, positioning himself as the trusted ally who has access to everything. Eggchan joins the mafia and somehow survives, breaking their rules. Eggchan kills a diamond tier mafia player and takes their items, including possibly their mace. Eggchan gets trapped in solitary confinement in Proton where something traumatic happens. Eggchan emerges from Proton with a completely different personality, now believing that sometimes death is the only answer. Eggchan continues to act silly and unskilled publicly, while demonstrating advanced infiltration skills, combat ability, and strategic intelligence privately. Eggchan attempts to become leader of the pirates, showing his true ambitions. Here's the theory that I have. Eggchan is not weak, nor silly, nor unskilled. He's one of the most dangerous players on the server who's been deliberately hiding his true power by playing the role of Wembu's sidekick. The diamond tier player he killed wasn't lucky, it was calculated. The personality shift from peaceful to violent wasn't random, something in Proton broke him and made him realize that violence is necessary for survival. The constant captures aren't failures, they're manipulations to keep Wembu emotionally invested in protecting him. But here's where this theory gets truly disturbing. What if Eggchan killed that diamond tier player because they discovered what he was really hiding? What if that player figured out Eggchan's true identity or his real mission or something about him that needed to stay secret? Killing a diamond tier player isn't something you do casually. It's something you do when you have no other choice, when that player knows too much, when eliminating them is the only way to protect yourself. And if Eggchan was willing to kill a diamond tier player to protect his secrets, what else is he willing to do? The scariest part about this theory is that if it's true, Eggchan has successfully fooled the entire server for multiple seasons. Nobody suspects him, nobody questions him, nobody sees him as a threat. He's positioned himself perfectly to either protect Wemmbu from something terrible or betray Wemmbu when the moment is right, and we won't know which one until it's too late. The diamond tier player he killed might have been the only person who figured out what Eggchan was really hiding, and Eggchan made sure they could never tell anyone. Now the question is, what happens when someone else figures it out? Or hear me out, Eggchan is generally just a silly, squishy little egg and I'm just overthinking it. Chances are that's probably the case. But if you enjoyed this far-fetched theory and want to see more unique Unstable SMP videos, click the video on screen. Make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think Eggchan's true identity really is.